It was a normal Saturday night at Freddy's Pizza. Jake worked as a cook and got on shift until just before closing time. He was used to the strange sounds and shadows that sometimes flickered in the corner of his eye. But on this night, something wasn't right. When all the visitors had left, Jake noticed that one of the robot dolls, Freddy, looked strange. His eyes glowed with some sort of more sinister light, and his arms moved unnaturally, as if on their own. Jake figured it was his imagination, since he was tired after a long shift. However, as Jake turned his back to Freddy, he heard a rustling behind his back. He slowly turned around and saw that the other robots had started to move as well. They were approaching him, step by step, making strange mechanical noises. Jake felt the urge to run away, but his legs refused to move. The robots drew closer and closer, and Jake realized they weren't friendly. He heard a quiet voice in his head, whispering something unintelligible and ominous. Jake realized that these robot dolls had taken control of their own program, and now they were looking at him as their next victim. Jake felt the fear that made his heart race. He knew he had to find a way out of this nightmare. The robots were still slowly approaching him. Their mechanical arms stretched forward as if they were ready to attack. Jake began to look around for a way out. His gaze fell on the open door leading to the storeroom. He decided it was his only chance of escape. With a fleeting glance at the robots, Jake turned and ran toward the door. His own footsteps sounded loud and eerie in the silence of the pizzeria, and Jake felt the robots begin to increase their steps behind him. He reached the pantry door and yanked it open with force, running inside and slamming it shut behind him. Jake sank to the floor, covering his face with his hands, trying to calm his trembling body. No sooner had he come to his senses than he heard the ominous scraping of metal outside the door. The robots weren't going to stop. They began pounding on the door, their mechanical screams and whistles echoing in the distance. Jake realized he was trapped, and he needed to find a way out. He looked around the storeroom for something to help him stand up to the robots. In the corner, he saw an old electric drill that the technicians had left behind to repair equipment. Jake realized that this was his chance for survival. He quickly picked up the drill and began looking for a way to exit the storage room through this. There was a hatch on the ceiling, and Jake began to quickly uncalibrate the drill so it could be used as a winch. With each passing second, the robots were pushing harder and harder on the door. Jake realized he had very little time left. He attached the drill to the ceiling and began to climb up slowly. Feeling the fear and adrenaline rising in him, the robots continued to bang and scramble incessantly, and their mechanical prolonged sounds poured. Finally, Jake reached the hatch and struggled to climb to the surface. He found himself on the roof of the pizzeria, where the fire escape was accessible. Jake realized that he had to run or the robots would catch up with him. He ran toward the ladder, his heart pounding frantically in his chest and his breathing getting heavier. Jake reached the stairs and began to descend, feeling like a character in a horror movie.